Hello, everyone, and welcome to our weekly Power Lounge. This is your place to hear authentic conversations with those who have power to share. My name is Amy Vaughan, and I am the owner and Chief Empowerment Officer at Together Digital, a diverse and collaborative community of women who work in digital and choose to share their knowledge, power, and connections. You can join the movement at togetherindigital.com. Today, we are diving into one of the hottest topics of our time, how to reclaim your time and energy in the age of AI. And I am thrilled to welcome Monica Froese, the founder of Empowered Business, a leading voice in digital strategy and AI innovation. I also had the pleasure on being a guest on Monica's podcast just a few weeks ago. So it's so great to be hanging out together once again and also creating amazing content for folks while we're at it. Monica is the former corporate marketing leader turned seven-figure entrepreneur who made it her mission to help women work smarter, not harder. She has been featured by major brands, invited to the White House, and even met the CEO of Pinterest, all thanks to her results-driven approach to business growth. Through her courses, podcast, and Empowered Shop, Monica teaches business owners how to ditch the overwhelm and leverage technology with confidence, which sounds like something we all would love to do. What makes Monica's perspective so valuable is that she understands the real challenges that women face, juggling multiple priorities, feeling pressured to do it all, and wondering how to integrate new technologies without losing their minds. Today, she's going to share some practical, no-nonsense strategies for using AI to save hours each week, amplify your impact without sacrificing what matters most. So whether you're running your own business, leading a team, or simply just managing all the things, Monica's insights are here to help you see that AI is not another overwhelming trend, but is your secret weapon for reclaiming your time and reducing burnout. To Monica and our wonderful live listeners in the audience today, welcome to the Power Lounge.
Thank you so much for having me. What a wonderful intro that was.
No problem, my friend. I mean, I had lots of great background because we got to spend time together on the show as well. But let's start kind of with the elephant in the room. AI. We talk about it all day, all night. And I think for some of us, we could do it all day. Prime example, you and I. But I do understand other people can feel overwhelmed by it. What is your perspective on why women in particular might be hesitant to embrace AI tools? And how do you help them overcome that initial resistance?
Well, I was that person. When ChatGPT launched, it was so not a great time for me because I was going through a divorce at the same time. So I was like hearing the buzz about it because I work in online business, B2B space. And so everyone's buzzing about it. And I was like, kind of hoping it was going to be one of those things that faded out and I wasn't going to have to jump into it. And I actually ignored it for 2 years. And part of the reason I ignored it was because I didn't have the bandwidth. And so it gives me a unique perspective, I think, for women, because I was, like we all are, at that phase in my life, juggling more than I'd ever juggled before. I was getting used to a new schedule in my household. I didn't have the same capacity mentally to be putting it into my business. So I had to make these big changes in the business and all this stuff was going on. And it felt like just one more thing for me to take on. What I've now realized it's not one more thing to take on. It actually can really help our mental load. And on the other side of my business, which is Redefining Mom, that's what I help moms do, is how to take AI and take the mental load off of you. And I really didn't even dive into it until January of this year. And so we're 8 months in.
Yep.
And I feel like I got a crash course. And I am so glad I dove in when I did. And I would encourage anyone who hasn't to dive in now because it is moving really fast.
Yeah.
I don't want that to intimidate anyone,
Sure.
But I do think that this is something that's not going away. So us having a pulse on it and figuring out how we can use it for good in our own lives is really important.
This is why I like talking to you, Monica. You're just like straight up, no, I haven't touched it since the January of this year. So many people come on to speak or guest on something and they're just like, yes, I've been using it since the beginning, early adopter. I know all the things, and that doesn't help with the intimidation, but being vulnerable and saying, yeah, I avoided it too because I was hella busy. I think it just, hopefully those who are listening can kind of sort of get that sense of relief that you're not alone. There's a lot of people that are there, but that shouldn't be the thing that holds you back, because I agree, all of a sudden it feels a little evangelical sometimes, I feel like. When you find a fix for something that everybody seems to have the same problem with, and it's like, oh my gosh, this was a thing. And now I want everybody to know that, like, the problem you're facing, there is a solution. And so it's like, we don't mean to be preachy, y'all, but like, we understand
100%.
where you're coming from.
That's exactly how I feel about it.
I love it. Now, also, on top of going through what you've gone through with the divorce, being a single mom, that is a lot. I mean, that's a lot. All of us have either, our children of divorce, have experienced divorce, know friends who have. So to go through all of that while also building a 7-figure business, first of all, I'm like, how the hell? That's no small feat. But could you share maybe a specific moment that when AI transformed how you're approaching like your workflow? Like, how have you used it to help you kind of keep your sanity and get through all that while building your business at the same time?
I feel like I have plentiful examples from both sides of my life, personal and business. I think the moment it really started to click for me was, so I approached using ChatGPT as my new Google. So I started training myself to, if I was going to ask Google, let me just go ask Chat. And I understood the premise that when I ask it, it's like having a conversation. And as the more I started using it over Google, I realized, well, when you put something into Google, you actually have to do a lot of the work to find the answer. But when you put it into ChatGPT, it does all the work for you to come up with the answer. So that's how the tide started turning. And then one day, one of the things I felt like personally I was struggling with a lot was I don't have my kids half the time, and I was wasting so much food. Like so much food was being wasted in my house because I would buy as if I was still buying for a family of 4. And I also had weight loss surgery. So I eat so different than anyone. Yeah. And so I started talking to Chat, and I was like, well, here are my dietary restrictions. Here's how often I have to eat. Here are the macros I have to hit. Here are the days I have my kids. And then I just kept going, and I was like, well, here's what I have in my pantry. Here are some of my favorite recipes. And before you knew it, I had trained it to understand me so well that now I can go to it and it has a running list of everything in my pantry, my freezer, and my fridge. And I can tell what meals I want it to make. I can tell I'm shopping for 7 days, 8 days, 9 days. This is how many days I have my kids. It knows my kids' preferences. And it gives me a grocery list based on my local grocery stores as well. Estimates my costs. It is like, and so then a step further, what it started doing was I was having a hard time through the chaos of everything, tracking my macros, but it's super important for my health for me to do so. So I started committing to tracking my macros with Chat. I also had a habit of forgetting to take my vitamins and my daily pills. So now every time I open Chat, I'm trained to tell it like what I ate, and it gives me my macro count, tells me what I need to like work on as the day goes by. And then it will ask me, did you take your pills? And I'm like, this is amazing. Like there was nothing else that I have not missed a pill in 7 months. Like that's
amazing. Especially when you're stressed, like that's so easy to get out of your routine. And like, that's how I know I am at the point of burnout, when I start forgetting like the basic things,
Well, the other day I actually was like, I don't remember if I took my pills. And then but Chat knew I did because we had chatted that morning and I had answered it.
What a great accountability partner, right? That's a great way to look at it too, right? It can be a coach, it can be an accountability partner. And for those of you who are kind of like, I think some of us just naturally get prompting and what we need to ask. For anybody out there who hasn't, which I don't know many people, at least within our community, that probably haven't touched AI, but if you are like that early in like checking it out, I think one of the best things you can do is just say, this is my goal or objective. What do you need to know to help me get to that goal or objective? Like ask it to tell you what to ask it. Do you know what I mean?
Yes, because training it on yourself, training it on your business, like I have 2 sides of my business. So I had to train them on both. But the thing is, when you treat it holistically, I find like in my business, I actually took back my emails. I send emails every single day, rarely miss a day. I have not been the one writing emails in my business for like 4 years. I took it back. And the reason I can use AI and it can still sound like me is because I tell it everything. Like I will tell it most anecdotal stuff. Like my girls went back to school this Wednesday. this daughter was acting like this daughter was acting like that, we did this cool thing, we might get a new kitten. And then it weaves it into my storytelling when I write emails without me having, like, when I used to write emails a decade ago, a really good email could have taken me all day to do. Mm-hmm. Now I can do a solid email. It's going to make me a lot of money in 45 minutes. But it's not like I'm not involved in the copy process.
Right.
It's just I've trained it to understand me so well. And so back in January, what I did, and my daughter was actually making fun of me for this because it was a weekend. She was with me, and I'm on the couch, and I was just like on the typewriter, like around the typewriter. Wow, old school. On the computer. And she's like, Mom, what are you doing? I'm like, I'm educating ChatGPT on me. She goes, what are you talking about? And I just started telling Chat everything about my business. I started like the business timeline from 2013. I educated on my brands and major milestones. And then after I like kind of brain dumped all of that, I said, what else do you need to know about me? And then it started asking me questions like, do you have any, can you upload previous emails to me so I can understand your tone of voice? And at the end of this, it actually came up with a writing style guide for both my brands and like the tone and certain phrases that I use a lot. Because I have a decade of podcast episodes, of workshops I've done, of membership calls I've done. So I haven't given it all of that because that would be a lot, but I chose some key things, like some key webinars that I've done, and it picked up on my natural language. And I also then educated it on what I don't like. Like mine likes to say, I know this is pretty common, but like mine says no fluff all the time. I'm like, please stop.
Yeah. Right. Yeah. Or certain GPT words or language that you're like, I would not say that. And that's what we mean by training. I think sometimes too, people hear us talking about, building, or training AI agents or something. And when we start to use that language, it feels very like, oh, that sounds time consuming. You are literally just typing in as if you're having a conversation with a friend, giving them a basic download of information. And like you said, you can upload so much information. And again, like I do personally recommend a pro account for whatever chat, or GPT that you decide to use, just so all that information about you, your business and stuff like that remains like private, confidential, and isn't shared broadly within the full like AI learning LLM. But yeah, that's all we mean by training, is really just giving it more input and information and saying, yes, this is what I want to hear. And no, that's kind of what I don't like or don't want to hear.
And an easy way to do it, I do recommend getting Plus as well. It's $20 a month, honestly, for how
much you use it
and how much it's like. I operate the majority of my day, whether it's personal or not, or business, inside of Chat. And one of the hacks I have is after I drop the girls off at school, I just did it this morning. I pick up my phone. I don't pick up my phone. I put it on the console next to me and I press the record button and I just spitball all the things on my brain. What happened last night? If I have to remember things for dinner, if I have to run an errand, I have to remember the kid needs this. And then I say, oh, don't forget this about the business. Don't forget that. You have to tell your ex this. And I just say every single thing. And I know as women, we carry the mental load.
We do.
I love those TikTok videos where it's like a woman sitting at her desk and her thoughts are going off. So like she's actually working, but she's thinking, well, I have to go to soccer at 6 p.m., which means I have to leave then and she's like going back. Yep. Well, that's basically what I do to Chat. And then what ends up happening is my day starts off with it organizing everything I have to do. It even timestamps things for me. Like you have an hour block here to work on your emails because you have to record these 2 podcasts and you have to remember to get your daughter to volleyball by 4:00. It really does extract the mental load in ways that, and I've talked about the mental load through my Redefining Mom blog for 12 years, and nothing has ever solved it like this for me.
Right. Exactly. Yeah, I agree. It's like our own little external processor and admin, assistant, all those good things. All right. So, your story probably resonated with a lot of our listeners there. What you just explained, that woman sitting at work, 2 minutes inside a woman's head. And it's like, whoa, that's a lot of thoughts. That's a lot of to-dos. That's a lot of worries. That's a lot of concerns. A lot of us are kind of drowning in tasks and feeling like we need to be everywhere all at once. What's like the first AI tool or strategy that you'd recommend someone who's completely new to this space?
So I get asked this question a lot, especially because there's a lot of different LLMs out there, right? You have Gemini, Perplexity, Grok, Claude, and ChatGPT, of course, which we've mentioned. And people will tell you that certain LLMs are better for certain tasks. But the thing is, and this is my opinion, if you try to do them all, you'll end up sticking with none. So I found it most beneficial for me to start with one, which I chose ChatGPT because it was the most buzzy and popular. And I'd say, honestly, it does have the most users still. So I started with that because I figured that would give me the opportunity, two things: give an opportunity for a model to get to know me, because that's the power of it. Once it knows you, that's why it's so useful to me. So if I was spreading myself across 3 different ones, that would be, and so I did that for a solid 6 to 7 months. I just recently started branching out to a few other ones based on its skill. Like right now I've been using Gemini with my daughter my daughter's very artistic, and Gemini just got upgraded with a pretty good, image creator. And so we've been having fun with that on the weekends. Cool. And then Claude, a lot of people have said that it's better for copy. And now that I have so much information in ChatGPT that I can extract to give to Claude, I will say I am enjoying that, but I waited months and months before I did that. Like, so just start with one.
Yeah, I think that's great advice. I agree with you. I think once you kind of learn what works for you within one, it's easy to kind of extract what you've done, maybe replicate it, try it, and see what happens in others. But yeah, I agree with you because I tend to jump as well. I was a copywriter by trade and a writer by nature. So yeah, I've always felt Claude had the most like natural, like from a human language standpoint. But then there's definitely certain things about like Team GPT that's amazing. If you're kind of like creating like standardizations or prompts across the board that you want your team to leverage for the sake of like consistency and things like that. You're right. It's kind of like, it's sort of like, picking up a hammer for the first time. And it's like, do I want this brand of hammer or this brand of hammer? This one has a slightly squishier handle. This one has a better, like what's the word? The lever or whatever. So it's like the leverage is better on this one. And so I can hammer longer, but then this one I can hammer more comfortably. It's like, stick with one hammer to start and then start picking up others and see what works.
Honestly, that's always been my advice in the business to anytime, like when I get someone new who doesn't have an audience, let's say, what do I always tell them? Pick one place, get good at it to get your leads. Because if you try to stretch yourself too thin, then you make no progress. It's like it's that same concept.
That's great advice. And let's dig a little deeper into sort of that, the business applications of this. So, you've worked in corporate marketing, but now you obviously run your own business. How do you see AI differently impacting women entrepreneurs versus traditional and corporate roles?
Yeah. So I thought about this actually a lot before talking to you, because I am 11 years removed from corporate now, but I was in corporate tech. So I was around for like the dawn of cloud computing. So I saw a lot of disrupting things while I was in IT. And I think one of the things that really stands out to me is that initiatives like this are usually driven from the top down. And we all know that there's not as many seats on the top in a lot of these big corporations for women. And so if we are not getting as much say in the initiatives, I think that's an issue. And so I actually think what corporate women, so if I was in corporate still, what I would start doing is within the parameters of what the company would allow, I would try my very best to integrate as much AI into my daily role as possible and talk about it. Bring initiatives up the ladder, because I really feel like, I can remember so many times sitting in my cubicle that I would have my day planned out and then some stupid thing would come down from the top and we all had to scramble, but we still had to get all the other stuff done. And I feel like this is such an opportunity for women to like actually shine, right? With this. And the other thing too, that I think is really important if we're not involved, I mean, there's a lot of reasons to be involved in these decisions, but the other thing is AI is going to be one of the biggest wealth creators that we've ever seen. And so if we're not having a say in it, we're going to be the ones left behind. Like, we should have that equal power. So we need to be involved in those decisions. So in my opinion, it's like, I know a lot of people that still work in corporate and they have like AI panels that they're hosting. They have those think tanks essentially. Get involved. Like, don't let your voice not be heard in those types of things. As an entrepreneur, we are very lucky, in my opinion. Because guess what? I get to decide how I want to do it. And I'm a sponge and I love learning. And one of the things I have to say is during the 2 years that things were really rough for me, I really stopped consuming content. I really stopped learning. And for the most part, in terms of like how to run my business and different like marketing things, like there's very consistent things about how you sell to people. And I feel like I kind of just reached that point where I'm like, I know what I'm doing. I just have to do it. Well, AI kind of blew the doors off of that. And now I find myself for the first time investing in education again, trying new tools, excited to record my podcast to talk about like the new things I find out. So I feel like I definitely recognize that women need a seat holistically at the AI table. And I think through the business and talking about it so much, it can really kind of elevate us all.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah, agree with so much of what you said just there. But I also just dropped for our live listening audience, and we'll include it in the show notes. We just did an episode the week before last that was talking about how to implement AI with your team responsibly. Just because it's very tricky within corporate environments. Some places it's still taboo, which is kind of sad because it's like you're really missing the boat, and it's more about taking an accountable, responsible, measured approach to leveraging the technology versus avoiding it altogether. Because at the end of the day, I think that's the thing about us entrepreneurs. We know there's no avoiding it, And so while businesses definitely have bigger, better resources, and they're going to want to believe that those bigger, better resources are somehow better than AI, I think that is like, to me, I don't know, in some ways I'm probably over optimistic, but I feel like AI for business owners, it's like an equalizer. Now, me as one small business could work as a medium-sized business because of the amount of efficiencies, optimizations, and things like that we've gained by leveraging the tool with really, and doing it so responsibly. But because we don't have to kind of go through all the layers and levels and bureaucracy to get what not approved, it's great. So I do understand the struggle women who are within corporate are really facing, which is, I think, why that more extensive episode where we kind of focus on just that would be really good for you, those of you who are listening, to go back and hear.
Yeah. And the other thing to keep in mind, if you are in a corporation where either it is really hard to get a say in how AI is being implemented and or they are kind of against it, that's even more reason to invest in it outside of your work life, because we really don't know the impacts yet of what jobs are going to change because of AI. And this is a skill set that is definitely not going to go away. So even if you really can't get that experience at work, make it for yourself, because 100%. Like, what if something does happen to the industry you're in? Well, now you have this skill set that you can use and maybe go out on your own, maybe become an entrepreneur, or it'll be hopefully easier for you to be able to interview for your next job.
Yeah. No, I 100% agree. AI is, it's a part of your professional development. Like, we all need to take it as such, because, my husband works for an AI market research company, and they're trying to hire for and create roles that don't exist yet. And so if you're not taking it on yourself to learn this, even if it's not for the benefit of your current employer, like you said, do it for yourself, because people are going to be looking. We're not going to get replaced by AI. We're going to get replaced by people who know how to use AI better than we do.
I 100% agree with that. It's not going anywhere. And that was the epiphany I had in January of this year. And especially being in online business, it was one of those things I could see. I've always been good at being able to see outward. And I guess that's the visionary as a CEO, right? Like, I've always been able to see outward and be like, okay. And I was clouded for those 2 years. I was not involved. I didn't have the mental bandwidth. Sure. And then as the fog cleared, I was like, I'm either going to get on this bandwagon and figure out how to use it and be very energetic about it, or my business is going to cease to exist by the end of this year. And I do believe that. Like, for me personally, if I had not embraced it, I would not be where I'm at today.
Wow. Well, that's a testament for sure then. All right, let's talk about another fun thing that we deal with a lot as women. We talked about the mental load. Along with that comes often decision fatigue, right? Because we're making choices for ourselves, for the people we employ, for our families. It's definitely something a lot of our members struggle with. How are you using AI to make faster, better decisions, whether it's in life or business?
I mean, for my business, I will say I almost feel like this is a little jargony, but for lack of a better term, I feel like I built a team of GPTs for myself. So I think one of the things where I have benefited a lot in the business from AI is, while I have always been a visionary, I'm also a very type A detail oriented person. And because of that, like people have commented when they, like I have contractors come into the business. They're like, wow, you're like really organized. I'm like, I am very organized. But so what that has allowed me to do is take all of those processes and put them into like their own mini GPTs. And so that's why I call them like a team, because here, even though my processes have always been organized, now I can run something through a GPT where it would have taken me still a lot of human hours to do. Like, let's just take my podcast, for example. I eliminated quite a bit of contractor expense because I built a GPT. I know exactly what I needed for the output, everything from the Instagram reel to the script that I wanted. And I built a logic flow, and I simply dump in, this is what I want the episode to be about it. I get a few key points, and this GPT takes it all the way through. I mean, and even now, like the script, I can edit my own podcasts. Before I had no idea how to edit it. And then like I can get podcasts out the door. What that has opened the door for me to come out with new private podcasts for my audience, because it's cut down on so much time. So now it's just enabled me to be way more present in the business. I think that's the key. So I view them like little mini me's. They're like little mini robots of me that have my brain, and they stay on the guardrails and the GPTs. That's why I have so many of them, because if you're like, here's the process to run my entire business, it'd be like all over the place. You can't do that. So it's funny because I'm probably working harder than I have in a lot of years, but yet I'm in any other phase, I feel like I would have been under massive burnout.
Oh, yeah.
And while I have moments where I feel like I'm approaching burnout, AI has actually allowed me to step back from that, because it has allowed, like, for example, the one day I was almost near tears. My ex, it was still a summer day. My ex picked up the kids, and it was like 8 a.m. in the morning. I was so excited. It was a Wednesday. I'm going to have all day to work in silence. It's going to be amazing. I'm going to get so much done. 3 p.m. rolls around, and my brain wasn't going to turn on. It was because I was in a phase of burnout. My brain was just like, forget it. And I finally, almost in tears, went to chat, and I was like, my whole productive day just got blown away. I feel like I'm behind on everything. And it came back, and it's like, well, let's prioritize what's like the must do versus, do you really have to do this? Or can you delegate it? Or can we build a system for it? And that day that I couldn't get my brain to turn on, chat actually helped me build 3 more GPTs to use in my business that knocked 3 of the tasks that I was stressed about that day off my plate in like 45 minutes. And then suddenly I was re-energized again. And I ended up working late into the night for fun, because it was fun.
Yeah, no, it's great to have what feels like a collaborator when you're working alone, which is often the case when you're an entrepreneur. And so I like to give it like a this or that situation and have it do some analyzing, or say like, what are the gaps that are missing from this? Or what am I not seeing that I should notice? Another prime example is like talking about decision fatigue. I just made a new hire, and she like, I need to get her a laptop. She's like, oh, I like PCs. And I was like, oh, I only know Macs. So I jumped on Claude, and I'm like, here's what her job is. Here's what she's going to be doing day in and day out. Here's what she needs. Give me some recommendations. Here's my budget. And it gave me such a great, thorough, rational list of what I needed to consider to get her. And then I said, well, what else am I missing or not considering? Or what else would you need to know in order to help me make this decision? And it gave me more. And so that's like the other great thing. It's like sometimes you just feel like, I mean, I could go and start asking people like, oh, PC users, what does everybody think? But I can just go
Google it and reading through all of those
exactly all the reviews.
There are so many ways. Like I'm pretty proficient in spreadsheets, but once I left corporate, some of that skills kind of gave way. And as I grew my business, I started realizing, well, there's a lot of skills I learned in corporate that are very helpful with me running the back end of my business, but I forgot how to do it. And I could have watched YouTube tutorials. Instead, the amount of times I'm like, I forgot this formula, or I want to build this pivot table, or I really want my spreadsheet to do X, but I don't know how to make it do it.
Right.
And it is step by step, or building Zaps, like the amount of
oh my gosh, I love it for building Zaps. Yeah.
Oh, because Zaps, it's definitely gotten better than when I started using it. But sometimes we can't even imagine the capacity of some of these apps and what they can do working together. So sometimes I throw out these outlandish scenarios of like, I would love to start way over here in left field. And by the end of it, I'm way over in right field.
Yeah.
Can you make this happen? And it comes back with step by step on how to do it. That would have taken, some of these builds would have taken me weeks to figure out on my
Right.
own.
Love it. Love it. Love it. Love it. Awesome. All right. So, obviously you're doing a lot of teaching about digital products. I can talk. It's Friday. And scaling businesses. How has AI changed your approach to product creation and customer service? And what do you feel like is really working for you right now?
That is a super great question. So right now in the digital product space, I would say, so this is very interesting because the program that I built to teach people how to create their digital products was called the Empowered Business Lab. And I built it in 2020. And so I've had thousands of students go through it. So many digital products have come out of this. And I teach based on frameworks. And so when 2025 rolls around and I'm like, okay, now everything I'm doing, I'm going to layer on AI. So I redid the entire system. And it's called the Empowered Business Lab AI now. But where I'm going with this is the crux of it is because I had these proven frameworks. I think what people forget is we're still as a business selling to other humans. Mm-hmm. So people aren't trying to buy from robots, actually. They still actually want to buy from you. It's just that if you're not using AI, you're not going to be able to keep up with the pace of the people who are. So when I was going through and redoing this course, what I realized is all of my frameworks of how to build a high converting digital product, of how to sell a high converting digital product are completely relevant. Mm-hmm. I have 6 GPTs that reside in that course that essentially took this separate frameworks, and now you can chain link together and chat. So basically, and I'm like a real life example of this because back in 2016, I was creating my very first ebook, and it took me the entire summer. I have a very vivid memory of writing it. I had to have it edit it. And then I have no design skills. So then I had to hire out, I wanted this companion workbook. So that means I had to come up with a companion workbook. I had to do a Google Doc and then hand it over to the designer. I did something extremely similar for the Redefining Mom brand, which I've wanted to relaunch forever, using these 6 GPTs based on my frameworks. And I knocked out the entire product in less than 2 days. Wow. It blew my own mind. And when I've created and launched hundreds of digital products over the last decade, and how fast I can take a concept straight through to promotion and making money off of it, still to this day blows my mind. It really does.
Yeah.
So there was another part to the original question because it was how it's helping me with the digital products, and what else was it?
Yeah. And then as far as your approach to product creation, which I think you touched on, customer service, and then what's really working for you right now.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, I think one of the reasons I had such a great summer, money wise, is I've really been focusing on that program particularly, and helping my fellow content creators get and understand how to use AI. And what I started doing on my live webinars is demonstrating it. Yeah. And when people can see, it's one thing for me to talk about it like this and be like, you take my frameworks and you put it in and it can spit out all this information. And that sounds great. But when you actually see it in action, and I show them from using the 6 GPTs to here's my finished product, they're like, what? Yeah. How? What? It's honestly, it's awesome.
Yeah, no, that's fantastic. I really do think that there's a marketplace for that too, right? Where people who are just really skilled at understanding how to train and create what we call agents, but it's effectively what you're talking about, and then selling them. I've had a few friends that are creating and agents that are helping them achieve certain objectives that have certain goals. And, they've been like, hey, test this, use it, see if you like it. What are you going to use it for? And I'm like, this is brilliant. It's a really fun way to, kind of take, like what you're saying, your frameworks, your original content and thinking, and put it into a way that makes it accessible to others, but also potentially profitable for you. So I think that there's a whole trend coming in that for sure.
So I feel like you're going to touch on this, but I know I always get asked this, which is about the human touch and is it all AI? So one of the things that irritates me so much are those bros on TikTok who are like, you can create an ebook all on ChatGPT and make $10,000 a month. No, that's actually not the way it works. And this is the example I always like to give. So the objection I used to get about digital products was, I could Google that and get it for free. So why would anyone pay me for it? Now, my very first digital product I ever launched was called the Family Budget Spreadsheet. It has sold almost 100,000 copies.
Amazing.
So it's made me lots of money. And I would tell people on my webinars, go to Google and Google budget spreadsheet. You are going to find hundreds, if not thousands of free ones that you can download. But you know what the difference is? When you're on the sales page for mine, you're seeing that it worked for a real person and it solved her problems. Mm-hmm. It addresses the person's actual, I'm meeting them where they're at, like what they're trying to do. When you download a random thing off the internet, you don't know if it's really going to work. So what AI has allowed us to do in product creation wise, and this is what I tell my students, it is a great organizer. So it helps you organize your thoughts. It helps you think of different angles that you might be missing. So that's the first thing I love about it. And as I'm working with it on content, like the very first product I did from start to finish with my own frameworks and the GPTs was an empowered divorce planner. And one of the things I would say is, guess what? This bot still does not have emotion. It does not know what it's like to sit across and have to talk about not having your kids 50% of the time, or you're not going to get to see your kids on Christmas morning. It cannot feel that emotion. It cannot understand that. It can think practicality, but it can't understand why I might ask a certain question for the welfare of my child. So while it helped me organize and and it even gave me ideas that I hadn't thought of, I'm like, that's great. Oh, I wish I had that, and I can incorporate it. The people who are going to buy that planner from me are not buying it from a bot. They're buying it from me, someone who went through it and wished I had it when I was going through that process. All the things I wish I had known, but I was too emotional to figure out for myself.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I definitely hear you on that kind of objective viewpoint through very challenging and sometimes traumatic situations. But I think one other thing I was thinking of as you were talking was that I think we shouldn't be asking for authenticity from any GPT, because at the end of the day, like, we are the authenticity, right? We are it is what we give it. And even when we give it, what it gives back is still like a culmination of data input and information. And so I think that authenticity and personal touch, it comes from you in the way you structure, leverage, and utilize the tool, but then also what you do with what it gives you after, right? You don't just take it and run with it as is. You always go back and make sure you're maintaining your voice, your brand, your personality, and all of these different things, right? You know, at the end of the day, it's like, it's the tool, it's the paintbrush, but you decide like the strokes and the colors and all those other things that make it authentic.
It's funny because I feel like in what I do, we had a kind of a swing towards no one wanted to get on Zoom. Everyone was zoomed out, especially after COVID. And now I'm noticing, because AI, one of the flip sides is it's so helpful, but also can make you feel so isolated too, that now there's a big call in like my product community where they want touch with the product creator more so than I've ever seen in the 12 years that I've been making products.
Yeah.
And so that's the flip side. I think we have to remember that people are still people.
Yeah.
I still want to talk to people. I still want to get on podcasts. Like I think that I've heard some very interesting things, like bots being sent in, like clones of you being sent into meetings and stuff like that. You know, everyone's got to decide what they're okay with when it comes to that. But like, I know personally, I don't want to create podcasts where it's my clone showing up. I want people to build relationships with me. And that's been my personal line with AI.
I agree. Well, because there's that spontaneity, the chemistry, the conversation that's still just so like absolutely genuine that, that's like, to me, I agree with you. That's one thing that doesn't, I mean, I don't know, maybe it'll get replaced. But as far as I'm concerned, I'm like, no, like the conversations that we have, and the nuance of them and the authenticity of them, I doubt that could ever be truly replicated. No matter how deeply inflective the voices are or how much the intonality changes and things like that for the sake of drama, at the end of the day, it's still a combination of generalizations and biases.
It is going to make, I feel, us as a population really, really have to hone our discernment skills, because we already were up against a lot of things. Like, even when you see a news article, you have to discern, is this honestly real? Is it not real? Is it an opinion piece? Is it not? And now, like, honestly, I've said this, if I was a celebrity, I'd be way more like, ooh, about it. Because, you know, once someone sees you do something, whether it was you or your clone, it sticks in people's minds. So I think of someone just like Taylor Swift, like, someone could put out a video like, and it could look so much like her,
Yeah.
and people think that she actually said these words or did these things.
Mm-hmm.
And that's why I feel like discernment is going to be so important for us to remember. Don't be quick to just because you saw it on the internet.
Yes.
And I know we already knew that, but I think even more so now.
Even more so. Absolutely. Yeah. I feel like this already happened with Lady Gaga. I think I heard on the radio recently that some of the DJs were saying even they got fooled and were really confused because they're like, we didn't get the memo that she had new music coming out. And they know that she's been building up an album, but they didn't know that a new song had dropped and it was a music video and it's Lady Gaga. And I haven't gone back and watched it yet, but that whole moment stuck with me because of exactly what you're saying. Yes, it has the potential to mimic reality. And that's why we have to use our discernment and really kind of like you're saying, like keeping diverse and women voices in the mix of what's getting created and how it's getting created is super important, right? Because we need to use the tool responsibly and respectfully so that, we aren't damaging other people's, hard work. We're protecting their artistry, things like that.
And as a mom, I feel like I have to be very aware of what's going on because our kids, we all know our kids learn technology faster than we do.
Yes.
So if I'm not involved in this, who knows the kind of influence it could have on my children? Just like parents who didn't understand social media when I got it for the first time. So like, sure, post whatever you want. And then you're like, oh, that's a bad idea.
Be whatever chat rooms you want. It's not a problem.
Yeah, exactly. But they're such great, like my daughter came home at the end of last school year and she was laying on the couch and it was exam week. And I'm like, yo, aren't you supposed to be studying right now? She's like, I am. And I'm just looking at her like, oh, okay. She had her earbud in and her friend in science, they deemed this friend the best note taker. And this friend went and took her Google Doc notes and put it into Notebook LM, which is a tool you can use with Google. And it created this two-way podcast, which is super cool. I'm not going to lie. It is so cool to listen to a topic being talked about.
Oh, yeah.
So my daughter got a 98 on this science test. And the way she studied was by listening to this two-way podcast that was developed by Notebook LM based on her best friend's notes.
I love it. Well, that's amazing too, because it really lends itself towards different learning styles. It takes content and transforms it into something that based on how you learn and digest and remember information, allowing you to do that. Yeah, which is 100% why it's like, not that it's AI related at all, but like, well, we do use AI for it. Like we have this podcast, we have our amazing live listening audience. So folks, don't forget to drop comments in the chat if you'd like, or ask questions if you have some extra questions outside of what I'm asking. But outside of that, like, we're touch point. There's a touch point of live listening audience. There's a touch point of those who listen to the podcast after. We'll evolve that into a blog post or social post. Like there's just so much ways to slice and dice your content and information so that people, based on how they prefer to receive it, can receive it. Because that's why I kept this as a part of a live show, was because there were people that were just like, I want to be there and listen. I want to be able to ask questions. And others are like, I'm so damn busy. I can't even stop for lunch to listen. But I would love to be able to take a listen after, and we love podcasts, or maybe I just want to read about it. So yeah.
You know what was really cool? The other day, I signed up for this training. It was a 3-day training. It was 2 hours every day for the 3 days. I don't have 6 hours to sit on this live training.
Yeah.
And so they gave the transcript from the 2 hours of live. I put it into my chat and I said, hey, this is why I signed up for this training. This is what I'm trying to learn from it. Can you summarize what happened and what I need to know? And if there's any action that I need to take?
Love it.
I still am speechless with these things. It gave me an amazing summary. It gave me action items. And basically, instead of me having to consume 6 hours of content that I don't have time to consume, we narrowed it down to like 30 minutes of my time.
Right. That is such a great example. And I think that is, it's going to be such a great tool for learning because of that. Because some of us need story and context, and other people are like, just give me the damn bullet points.
Yeah.
From all of this, so I know what I can take away. And especially if it's like, take away what's important to me. So if I'm telling you, this is my business, this is what I need to know, because we just give such blanket advice. Hell, even on the podcast, we're just like, yay. We can't speak to everyone in every situation with every need. But I think leveraging tools like AI can actually help you take all that like plethora of content, which can feel very, that's overwhelming if nothing
Yeah.
else. Like use AI to cut down the overwhelm by giving it that content and saying, what do I actually need to take away from this? I love that. So that's kind of a good time saving tip. My next question was actually about time saving for like busy moms and things like that. And then Nicole from our live listening audience was reading my mind. She popped right in and she says, knowing how to prompt is so important, which obviously we agree. Can you provide us with some specific prompts that you have found most helpful as a busy mom?
That is a great question. So I will say, I honestly, especially from the personal side of stuff, I talk to it just like I'm talking to you. And I feel like natural prompting, that's what I call it, natural prompting, is the best way to get the results. So, you ever see those like the really long prompts where it's like, act as this expert, and I'm not saying those are bad prompts or anything. And I think there's a time and a place. But when it comes to it working well for me personally, it was the conversationalness that I had with it that really helped it. Like when I sat down and explained my dietary preferences and I explained what my kids like and I explained the days I have and don't and what my budget is. The other thing too that was super helpful was I went back. Now, be careful when you upload content into chat. Like, when I'm going to tell you this, I'm not going to say I uploaded all my credit card transactions, but not my actual statements. I downloaded just the transactions and stripped out my personal information just so everyone does that. And I went back and did it since I took over my finances by myself and I didn't have a second income coming into the house. I was actually kind of blown away by how much money I was, because in my mind, I was like, I don't know where else I can cut. I feel like, and honestly, I can't say every single month I comb through every single transaction in my life, especially with running a business. So it analyzed like 2 years of data for me, my bank statements. It analyzed my credit card statements, and I was blown away. I keep saying that, but really AI does make me feel blown away. So what ended up coming out of it was I have saved about $1,800 on insurance between my car and my house.
Nice.
It also told me where I should source it from. And I took my current homeowner's policy, ran it against the quote I got, and had it compare. So the quote for homeowners was like $500 less. I'm like, what am I missing? And chat came back and said, oh, your new homeowners is actually a lot better. Let me tell you why. Like, one of the things, I have underground power lines at my house, and I wasn't protected with that on my last policy, but the new policy does. And so this all stemmed from me giving it my transactions for the last 2 years. It told me I was getting double charged for Disney Plus, because you know how like they like combined, and so there was still like a Hulu charge on there, but I was also paying for it through Disney Plus, so we saved money there. It told me I was overpaying on my cell phone bill. It was just wild. And it will give you scripts too. Like I went and negotiated so I bought out the lease of my car last year, and so it came to me. It noticed in my bank transactions that my lease payment was lower than the payment when I bought it out. So it came to me and said, can you upload your car loan contract? So I did. And when I uploaded it, it said, oh, we can negotiate a better rate. It gave me a script on how to do it. And I saved 2 points on my car loan.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
That's a great application. I think that's such a fantastic idea. And I think that's the thing, again, like it's once you start and you find a use case, you're going to find another and another and another. So one thought I wanted to go back to that you shared earlier for you, Nicole, was, Monica was sharing how she just kind of like verbally vomited all over chat and was like, this is everything I'm dealing with. And so again, it's not really, sometimes I think we just want to go straight into prompting, but I think actually that first tier is the use case, figuring out what you want to use it for and what you want that outcome to be, and then working on figuring out what's the right prompt. And even then making sure that you're asking it, like, what's the best prompt to achieve this goal? It's like, hey, I just took over control of my finances after going through a divorce. I don't know where to start. I'm completely overwhelmed. Where do I go? What do I do? What can you help me with? And you would be amazed at the things that it'll recommend. And then I feel like maybe ChatGPT is better about this too. I think that it always wants and proposes some sort of next step where it's like, are you ready to do this now? And it's like, oh, okay, yeah.
Well, here's the other thing that happened to me. I always had corporate benefits. And now all of a sudden I was without health insurance for the first time in my entire life. And so I went on my ex's Cobra, which was outrageously priced. I'm like, I got to fix this. I felt like I didn't have time to fix it. So I was, again, in overwhelm.
Yeah.
And why marketplaces are not easy to use, and why everything to do with health insurance, unless you have like a business or like a grad degree in it. And I'm a smart person, and I swear, I'm like, I don't know how none of this makes sense. So I had to navigate first. Can you please help me figure out how to use the marketplace? And then you have to fill out what felt like a forever form that it was asking questions I felt almost meant to trick me. And so I was like going back and forth with it. Then I finally get into it. I get approved, and I have a million plans coming at me. And it's like, well, if you choose this level, you're going to save this. And I was like, so I went to chat and I was like, okay, well, here are the doctors I have to see. Here are and I also needed help on figuring out who's going to be in network, who's going to be out of network. It was it was one of the most overwhelming things I had to do. And honestly, without chat, I don't know. It would have been so much harder and taken me so much longer.
It's a great research tool, especially when you're fried and you're having to make really hard life decisions. It just is really great at pulling and researching and finding objective
lab
information.
Results are another thing to put.
Agreed. I think that's another big thing for women. I've definitely brought it up on the podcast. Anytime we talk about AI is like the impact on healthcare, and just women being able to advocate for themselves. Is like a whole nother conversation for sure.
Yeah, well, I turned 40 this year and had my first mammogram. And I remember I felt like it was like a factory, like they're doing scan. Then they pull you into this room, they give you this piece of paper. And like my piece of paper was like, well, we found 2 nodules, come back in 6 months. And that was that. And I was like, oh, well, what?
What does it mean?
And I tried asking, and it was kind of like, you're holding us up. Like, that's what I felt like. Yikes. And this is and we all know this is how the healthcare system is with women. I realized that that's why Redefining Mom started, because I almost died in childbirth, and it was definitely negligence. Why? And so after that, I was like, absolutely not. I learned real quick that I had to advocate for myself. So I went back with my lab results and I put it in chat, and I was like, who do I got to contact? What kind of questions do I have to ask about this? How serious is this? But without that, you'd be paying another how many $100 to try to talk to another specialist who's probably going to blow you off.
Right. It's so funny in a weird way, because this leads into my last question, and then we'll get to the power round, some fun, quick questions. Unless live audience, you've got more, of course, keep bringing them. There's something so empowering about AI for women. It's almost as if we're learning to read for the first time, in a way of like, now we have all this information, knowledge, and some space to bounce thoughts, ideas off of, and not having to depend on necessarily immediate people within our vicinity to do that. So, and when we talk about ChatGPT, when I talk to men versus women, it's kind of funny because, I think by nature we're more relational. So it feels like there's a relationship between women and AI. And I'm kind of curious to see, like, looking ahead, how you see that relationship evolving, and what opportunities are you most excited about for your community?
Oh, that's such a good question. Well, first of all, I think the way it's going to evolve is in ways that we can't even imagine. I like every day, I feel like I learn something new that blows my mind when it comes to AI. So I feel like what's next is sky's the limit, to be honest with you. I have a hard time even saying like, what do I think's next? But I can tell you, I know what I am excited about. And right now I am working on like more advanced agents for my students to help them automate a lot more of their back end processes. That is super exciting to me. Like things that I think a decade ago used to take me so long to do. And then I just think I work with so many women like you do. We have these skill sets that we really can do such good in the world. So to be able to take all that admin stuff off, helping them automate as much as they can to free them up to really operate in their zone of genius and to give back in the ways that they actually can. I think that's going to be the biggest impact for women.
Agree.
It's allowing us to really, like, when I think of like even the mental load it's taken off of motherhood, so I can actually spend more time with my children. Like my oldest is going to be 13 and before you know it, she's going to be gone. And I've refused to believe that, but it's going to happen. And, so like I get more time with her now. It's even more important now that I only have her 50% of the time. So I think that's what the power of AI for women is going to do for us.
Well, because information is liberation, right? Like you said, I mean, actually, I've had a couple of friends who have been going through some pretty tumultuous relational things and potentially then divorce. And it's just outside of being such an emotional roller coaster, there's so much from a logistics standpoint. And in most of those scenarios, those women could not afford expensive lawyers because they weren't making the income that their husbands were making, or, they didn't have the knowledge and expertise of the legalities and what were their rights and what weren't their rights. And I'm finding a lot of them are using like different GPTs to basically be a sounding board to build the case that they need to build to get what they need when things are kind of coming to a head at a very, very emotionally difficult time. And it's just fascinating.
And I wish I had it. And here's the thing, like my ex and I are extremely cordial, and yet it was still one of the hardest things. I went there. We even did mediation, and it reminds, like when I started the business with Redefining Mom, I started it because when I realized the lack of maternity leave and all that stuff after I came off this birth and was diagnosed with postpartum PTSD, I started the blog because I was upset about it. And then I realized I was like in the top 7% of benefits in this country. And I'm like, wait, this is like this hard for me. And I am like really quite privileged. And so I was like, this is BS. And I went off about it. And, that's exactly kind of how I felt in that scenario too, you don't know what you don't know.
No,
and,
you don't.
And yet here I was fortunate to not have an ex who was trying to screw me over. We had equal earning power. Yeah, we both wanted to do what was best for our kids. We were agreeing in mediation. And yet I still feel like there's so much I wish I had known.
Right. Exactly. Yeah. And that goes the same for working through negotiating a job, being in a tricky work situation where like your rights as an employee might have been compromised. And I mean, that's really, honestly, that's what stemmed Together Digital. Was the founder was sexually harassed at lunch one day by her boss, and the company did not handle it appropriately. And, that was just such a shattering moment for her life, personally, professionally. And this was, in 2016. So definitely kind of at that height of the Me Too movement. But there was like little information for her to know, like, what are my rights? Who do I contact? Who do I talk to? How do I tell people about what happened to me? Because there's so much shame behind when things like that happen, so much emotion behind things like that. When that happened, it's really hard to be objective. And so in a place where you can be vulnerable, because we all know AI is not judging as well. I think that's the other thing. I think that's why there's like that weird relational aspect. I don't know. Matt, other fellas, speak up. Let me know if you all feel like chat and all those are your BFFs too. But I think us ladies are just really finding some weird sense of solidarity in having a safe space and the informational like power to kind of take what we need when we need it most. So yeah, I'm excited to kind of see where things go for a lot of us who are making the best we can in the ways of using it. So, all right, on that note, let's get to the power round. Okay. So these are some fun, like last little quick hit questions. It sounds like your go-to AI tool is ChatGPT. Would you say that's the one you can't live without?
Yep.
Okay, cool. 100%. We all got our fave, right? All right, finish this sentence. AI is like having a really good assistant because
it reads my mind and tells me what to eat.
I love it. That's great. It's one less thing to think about. Decision fatigue, right?
I distinctly remember starting this business and my husband coming down asking what's for dinner, and I wanted to bite his head off because I could not make another decision if I just couldn't. And instead, like now it's like it knows what I already ate, so it knows the macros I have to hit. It's wonderful. I don't even have to think about it.
I don't think people quite understand what a loaded question that is at the end of a day.
Oh, he definitely didn't. He learned real quick.
Right? No, you're not alone, and he's not either, unfortunately. All right. What is the most surprising way that AI has improved your personal life and not just business?
I think it's that I feel like I've been able to be a lot more present for my daughters.
I love that. That's fantastic. That's such a wonderful benefit. And it's so funny because people are like, robots are going to take over the world. It's like, no, robots are going to do the things robots should do. Mm-hmm. So we can do more of the human things we should do.
Yes, 100%. I agree.
All right. Last one. One AI myth that you wish you could bust for everyone that's listening today.
Oh, gosh, that's a good one. I guess it would be that AI is a negative thing. I really wish, I wish people could understand that, like with most things, it's what we make out of it. And so choosing to go in with a positive outlook and using it with guardrails with your, like what your moral code is, it's honestly not a negative thing. It really can enrich your life.
Yeah, no, I agree. Oh, I love it. Thank you, Monica, so much. It's been so great having you here with us today. You've obviously, based on the responses from our live listening audience, have shared some very practical, but also empowering insights on, how we can leverage AI and approach it, make it accessible, human-centered, all those good things that we're looking forward to do. Also, of course, most importantly, reclaiming our time, being more present with ourselves and our family. It's exactly what our members are needing to hear, especially in a world like today. For everyone listening, remember that you don't need to be a tech wizard to work smarter. Start small. Like we said, experiment with one tool, start there, and give yourself some permission to reclaim those precious hours that you've got in your week when you can. Everyone, please, if you'd like to connect with Monica on LinkedIn and learn more about her courses and resources at Empowered Business. And then to our Together Digital community, this conversation is just a perfect reminder that technology should serve us and not the other way around, right? It is a tool for empowerment. We are not beholden to it. So as we continue to navigate this evolving digital landscape, let's support one another and find tools and strategies to help amplify our impact while honoring our well-being, because that's what it's all about, right? All right, everyone. Thank you for joining us today. Until next time, keep asking, keep giving, keep growing. We can't wait to see you again soon. Thanks again, Monica. This is fantastic.
Thank you.
Produced by Heartcast Media.